Latitudes and Longitudes. Click on a link of your choice. Objectives. In this module, you will learn to define latitudes and longitudes, classify the characteristics of latitudes and longitudes, understand heat zones with the help of latitudes, interpret the time of different locations with the help of longitudes, determine the exact locations of places on Earth. Introduction. Our Earth roughly resembles an orange in shape. It is slightly flattened at the top and bottom. The 2 points, one at the top and the other at the bottom, are referred to as the North Pole and the South Pole respectively. There is an imaginary line passing through the center called the axis. The Earth rotates on these fixed points and the imaginary axis. Just halfway between the poles, an imaginary circle passes through the Earth. This circle is known as the Equator because it divides the Earth's surface into 2 equal hemispheres. The upper hemisphere of the Earth is the northern hemisphere and the lower one is the southern hemisphere. There are imaginary lines drawn on maps and globes in a crisscross pattern that help pinpoint locations anywhere on Earth. These lines are called latitudes and longitudes. Latitudes. Latitudes are circles running parallel to the equator. They are also called parallels of latitude. The equator is the central latitude and it is also called the Great Circle, while all other latitudes are called small circles. They become smaller and smaller as we move towards the poles. The pole or 90 degrees latitude becomes a point. Latitude lines run in an east-west direction. 0 degree latitude runs along the equator. There are 90 degrees lines to the north and to the south of the equator. 90 degrees north is the North Pole and 90 degrees south is the South Pole. Latitudes help in locating physical features of the Earth and also in understanding the climate of a place. Important latitudes. The equator is one of the important latitudes that divides the Earth into 2 equal parts. The Tropic of Cancer, which lies 23.5 degrees north in the northern hemisphere, and the Tropic of Capricorn, which lies 23.5 degrees south in the southern hemisphere, are also important lines which mark the northern and southern limits. The Arctic Circle, which lies 66.5 degrees north, and the Antarctic Circle, which lies 66.5 degrees south, are the other important latitudes. Climatic zones. The latitudes divide the Earth into 3 different climatic zones. They are the torrid zone or tropical zone, the temperate zone, and the frigid zone. The torrid zone is that part of the Earth which lies on both sides of the equator between the tropics. It is also known as the tropical zone and is the hottest part of the Earth. The sun's rays fall vertically on each place within this zone at least twice a year. The temperate zone lies between the hot and the cold zones. Its location is between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere, and between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere. The zone has moderate climatic conditions. The frigid zone lies around the North Pole within the Arctic Circle and around the South Pole within the Antarctic Circle. It is also known as the Arctic Zone in the Northern Hemisphere and the Antarctic Zone in the Southern Hemisphere. This is a very cold zone. Longitudes. Longitudes are semicircles converging at the North and the South Poles. They are also called meridians of longitude. There are 360 of these imaginary lines, each of which is called the degree. The 0-degree line or prime meridian runs through the Royal Observatory, Greenwich, England. There are 180-degree lines to the east and to the west of the prime meridian. The maximum distance between longitudes is at the equator, and it gradually decreases towards the poles. Longitudes help us calculate the time at various places on Earth. Finding a location. If you were at 77 degrees to the west of the prime meridian, your longitudinal location would be 77 degrees west. If you were at 38 degrees north of the equator and 77 degrees west of the prime meridian, then your location would be 38 degrees north, 77 degrees west. Longitude and time. Man has developed a system of measuring time using hours, minutes, and seconds. A day is divided into 24 equal parts called hours. It takes 1 day for the Earth to complete one rotation around its axis, moving from west to east. People used to think that clocks should be set to the same time all over the world. But this was a problem, because the sun doesn't shine on all parts of the world at the same time. In 1884, scientists solved this problem by dividing the Earth into 24 separate time zones, the same as the number of hours in a day. Each time zone is either 1 hour ahead or 1 hour behind the time zone. Now let us try to understand the relationship between longitudes and time. There are 360 meridians of longitudes, and each of them passes the sun once in 24 hours. After 24 hours, the Earth undergoes a full rotation with respect to the sun, and the same meridian again faces noon. Earth rotates 15 degrees in 1 hour. We get this by dividing 360 degrees by 24 hours. Each time zone is approximately 15 degrees longitude wide. Earth rotates 1 degree in 4 minutes. We get this by dividing 60 minutes by 15 degrees. When it is 12 o'clock noon at Greenwich, it is 2 p.m. at all the places 30 degrees east longitude. Simultaneously, it is 10 a.m. at all the places 30 degrees west longitude. Local time. Local time is what we use to regulate our lives locally, our work times, meals, and sleep times. Local time of a place is the time when the sun is exactly in line facing the meridian. Thus, the time calculated by the position of the sun at noon is called the local mean time. All places on the same meridian will have the same time irrespective of their distances. Standard time. If places situated at different meridians keep their local time, then travelers from one place to another would have to keep adjusting their watches. To overcome this problem, a uniform time known as standard time is selected for the country. Standard time is the local time of a particular meridian which is adopted for the whole of the country, and that meridian is called standard meridian. For India, the local time of 82.5 degrees east longitude is known as standard meridian of India. Most of the small countries easily fit within one time zone, whereas some larger countries like Russia, Australia, Canada, Brazil, and the US span across multiple time zones. Summary. In this module, you have learnt that latitudes are lines running parallel to the equator. Longitudes are lines converging at the north and the south poles. Latitudes and longitudes intersect at right angles, forming a grid. Torrid zone, temperate zone, and frigid zone are the three important climatic zones. Local time of a place is that time when the sun is exactly in line facing the meridian. Standard time is the local time of a particular meridian which is adopted for the whole country.